Hello and welcome to the Innscourt Armoured Car Regiment channel. Following on from our previous video, we'll be covering the actions of C Squadron of the Innscourt Regiment from June the 7th till June the 9th, and I hope you enjoy. June the 7th, D-Day +1. Although the Innscourt had been unable to reach their objectives on the first day, the objectives for the second day remained the same, the bridges on the River Orne. Troops 2, 4, 5A and 6A north of the Bayou Khan Railway had an early start. The enemy patrols encountered the previous night had withdrawn, and so they continued as per the pre-planned route, south across the railway into the closely wooded countryside. Every few hundred metres of progress would result in the armoured car troops running into small groups of enemy infantry and snipers, which slowed progress, but thankfully no casualties were incurred by these actions. On the previous day, thunderbolts of the United States Air Force had molested friend and foe alike, and faith in yellow silk and smoke had already been brought into doubt, after Troops 4 and 6A had been jumped by them the previous day. Today the thunderbolts could be seen working over anything south of the village of Blairy, which would unfortunately be the area that the Innscourt would need to operate in. Troops 1, 5, 6 and 2A, who had spent the previous night south of Cruelly, now pressed on towards Cully. On their way, enemy infantry were encountered, with varying strengths, along with the occasional machine gun emplacement. Troops 2, 4, 5A and 6A had reached the village of Jerusalem, a village with a key crossroads, and here they are welcomed by the local populace bearing fine wine. In order to explore all possible routes, they divide their efforts. Troop 6A headed southeast towards Tilly-sur-Seulles in order to determine if there was a route over the river Seulles north of Tilly-sur-Seulles. Troop 2 and 4 headed southwest on the originally planned route towards the village of Folliot. Troop 5A remained at Jerusalem to hold the crossroads. The armoured car troops were strafed by thunderbolts, but thankfully little damage was done, and it was mostly the hedges and barns which received the brunt of the attack. After Troops 1, 5, 6 and 2A got through Cully, Troop 2A pressed on to Secqueville, but ran into stiff enemy resistance and were unable to push any further. The area soon became the location of a fierce tank battle the troops became witness to, and occasionally embroiled in. They observed the battle from cover and provided a running commentary over the radio. At times the armoured car troops would try to make some progress and find a gap through the enemy lines, but to no avail. At Folliot, Troops 2 and 4 picked up on the atmosphere which suggested that trouble was nearby, and at Bernier they ran into it. A brief fracas ensued as they engaged enemy infantry, tanks and horse-pulled artillery. Quick shooting dispatched an ammunition and gun limber along with several infantry before they withdrew back to Jerusalem. Thunderbolts carried out a low-level bombing run on the cluster of vehicles at the crossroads at Jerusalem. Unbeknownst to them, these were the armoured car troops of the Innscourt, now consisting of Troops 2, 4 and 5A, the results of which were tragic. From the Innscourt, Lieutenant Ian Gwenny-Jones, Trooper R. Giles and Trooper H. Simpson were killed, while Lieutenant P. E. Reeve and Corporal J. Rogers are badly burned, and Lance Corporal A. Peckett is blinded and hit in both legs. The bombing also killed and wounded a number of the attached Royal Engineers, including Lieutenant D.W. Loss and the civilians of the village. Today a memorial marks the location and honours those lost during the incident. Lieutenant L.T. Yodekin's Daimler armoured car of Troop 2 had escaped the bombing unharmed, but became entangled with enemy infantry and they had to engage, after which they pushed on and joined Troop 6A, where they then crossed the River Seulles and pushed on to Le Hont de Andreur. Here they set up in a small wooded copse to lie up and observe the enemy. However, while in the small wood, they encountered a German artillery regiment headquarters, which they proceeded to destroy with bays and machine gun fire, capturing a German colonel in the process. They then set down for the day and continued to observe the enemy. The tank battle south of Cully was still ongoing and the enemy lines had solidified. This meant that there wasn't much point for Troops 1, 5, 6 and 2A to hang about, and so they withdrew slightly from the front line. Lieutenant Cork's Daimler armoured car of Troop 5 ran over a Hawkins mine that had been placed previously by the Canadian infantry. This led to a record-time tyre change for the regiment as the crew was spurred on by the sound of oncoming enemy tanks. As the day had gone on, the enemy lines had solidified further, making progress for Troops 1, 5, 6 and 2A difficult. Troops 1 and 6 managed to make a little progress west, but met resistance at Saint-Leger from a detachment of Panzer Grenadiers. Here they managed to destroy an enemy half-track laden with ammunition and incurred some further losses on the enemy. When panzers moved into the area, the scout cars acted as the eyes for our tanks. June the 8th, D-Day +2. Troops 2 and 6A, with their German prisoner, headed back to Allied lines. The prisoner had to ride on the front of a vehicle due to lack of internal space, and so that the crew can keep an eye on him while operating their vehicles. As they make their way back, they are ambushed at Christot, and both Daimler armoured cars are hit, killing Lieutenant Wigram and Jodekin. The cars are severely damaged, and the surviving crews bail out. Corporal Newman and Trooper Colling are wounded. Lance Corporal Fowler and Trooper Fuller make it clear from their armoured car, and are joined by Bell and Bown, who have bailed from their scout car. Due to their wounds, Newman tends to Colling, while Fowler, Fuller, Bell and Bown make a dash for it. Newman and Colling are later taken prisoner. After evading enemy troops, Fowler, Fuller, Bell and Bown navigate back to Allied lines on foot. For this action in leading the party, Lance Corporal Fowler is awarded the military medal. Meanwhile, Troop 6 persisted their advance on Saint-Leger from the previous day. They had managed to get south of the main road and push on towards Sainte-Marguerite, but here they encountered strong resistance and were unable to push on any further. For this action, Sergeant J. W. Wright is awarded the military medal. Troop 2A manages to find a gap in the enemy lines and is able to push on over the Bayou Khan Railway towards Noye-en-Bessan, passing back valuable information. For this action, Sergeant A. McQuistan is awarded the military medal. Troops 1 and 5 spent most of the day observing the enemy, especially their tank forces, and with the occasional spat, got through the day unharmed. June 9th, D-Day +3. What is left of C Squadron of the Innsbruck Regiment is withdrawn, and they head northeast to Rivières. From this point until the arrival of the rest of the regiment, C Squadron was to assist Phantom. Their task was to liaison with various divisions and assist in keeping an up-to-date record of Allied positions, gathering any intelligence on the enemy from the frontline units and passing it back to headquarters. In addition to the decorations mentioned previously, the following additional decorations were made. Lieutenant R. Wigram was awarded the Military Cross for leading his troop over the River Soule from June the 6th to June the 8th. The additional losses incurred over these days were 5 wounded, 2 of which had been taken prisoner, and 5 killed. 4 scout cars, 3 armoured cars and a half-track had also been destroyed in the process. References are now on screen and I hope you enjoyed. I hope you can join me on July the 1st when the next video covering the Innsbruck will occur, this being the date when the rest of the regiment joined C Squadron in Normandy. Until next time, cheerio.